Edie Lush, and I'm here inside the Hub Culture studio. It is May, it is 2022, and work, the future of work, is a hot topic, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's also quite warm in here. Me too. Really pleased now to be joined by Ravin Jesuthasan, and he is Global Leader in Transformation Services at Mercer. Now, we're going to get to the book, and maybe this question will lead you into it. But over the last few months, I haven't met a single person whose lives haven't been affected in some way by either the Great Resignation or the fact that companies over the COVID period let people go and they haven't all come back for whatever reason. This is at a time when we have concerns about the global economy, we have inflation issues, we have energy prices. There's a sort of tornado of issues. But if we think about the future of work or where we are, I wonder what picture you would paint.
Yeah, Edie, it's a great question. So in June of 2020, Satya Nadella said, we've seen a 2-year trend in digitalization get realized in 2 months. And I actually think the impact on the future of work is far more profound because there's 2 forces that accelerate it. Certainly digitalization, but the other, arguably more powerful, perhaps more insidious force is what we call the democratization of work. So our ability to decouple work from its traditional confines of space, time, and structure. And I think that those 2 forces have I think, helped us realize like a 20-year trend in 2 years. And probably the sort of tipping point or the sharp edge of the spear was this pivot towards remote work and hybrid work.
A pivot towards remote work and hybrid work. It isn't always easy, though. There is a place for the office, and there's a place for being with people and interacting. So tell me what you think is the future of that kind of balance. Yeah,
absolutely. I think there is a real place and time and need for human collaboration, for the expression of care and concern and empathy, for the mentoring that happens between a new hire and his or her manager. But I think many organizations have not been really clear as to why the office is still relevant and what should the purpose of the office be, because the purpose of the office is no longer what it was, January of 2020, right?
It's true. So tell me a little about some of the other things that are in the book in terms of things that might have surprised you as you wrote it.
Yeah, so we started writing this book in March of 2020.
Okay.
So couldn't have picked a better time to be staying home and writing a book. Yes, indeed. But it really builds on our second and third books together. So the second book was Lead the Work, Navigating a World Beyond Employment. And the third book was Reinventing Jobs. And this is called Work Without Jobs. And the reason John Boudreau, my co-author, and I wanted to call this book Work Without Jobs is what we're seeing over the course of the last probably 15 to 20 years is this thing that defined a job, this thing called a job, increasingly being unfit for purpose, given the volatility of the world we live in, given the pace of change, given the changing needs of the workforce, and more organizations experimenting with ever more agile ways of connecting people to work, things that transcend, space, time, structure, what the work is, how the work is done, etc. And so what we wanted to do with this book was to lay out a bit of a roadmap for business leaders for getting to a work model, a new operating model, if you will, that is much more fit for purpose for the world of work.
Give me an example of what it might look like that we don't see yet.
Yeah, so I'll actually do better than that. I'll maybe just take you through the 4 principles that we think characterize this new world of work. The first is, instead of starting with the job as the organizing construct, getting down to the elemental tasks and activities, either the ones that are there today or the ones to come, then asking the question of what's the optimal combinations of automation and talent. We know automation is going to increase exponentially over the course of the next few years. We've seen it increase significantly the last 2 years. But what we've always seen is when you lead with the work, you actually end up with 3 very nuanced outcomes. You see where the highly repetitive rules-based work, not to be too cute about it, but the dirty, dull, and dangerous, end up getting substituted, where human ingenuity, critical thinking, creativity gets augmented by technology, where new human work is created. Once you've gotten to those optimal combinations, the third step will be to figure out what's the best way to connect people to work. We've seen so much interest the last 2 years in this notion of internal talent marketplaces by some of the largest companies in the world. So an opportunity, if you're an employee, to be able to express your skills in other parts of the organization, be able to sort of unleash skills that the company might not know about you, in pursuit of its mission. Then lastly, just building this mindset of perpetual reinvention on the part of leaders, continuously looking to reinvent work.
Really interesting. So you're also working with the World Economic Forum on what good work looks like, a framework there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and it really dovetails off of the book because this notion of a more human-centric approach to work. So we've been really fortunate, us at Mercer, to partner with the WEF on its Good Work Alliance. And as part of that, the Alliance and the 20-odd organizations that are currently its members have published earlier this week the Good Work Framework. And what that framework advocates for is a much more human-centric and much more socially responsible and inclusive future of work.
Fascinating. Thank you so much, Ravin, for stopping by the Hub Culture studio. We look forward to a repeat guest appearance, and we're hoping it won't be another 2 years.
Same here. Thank you, Edie.
Thank you very much.